Welcome to
Introverts, Own Your Voice. I'm Tom Marcoux.
And I'm Johanna McLeod.
This episode is Kick Dark Resistance in the Butt and Get Success. Now, it's kind of interesting that I'm sharing this. Recently, I have a new book called How the Rich and Smart Break Free. You can often reach somebody by expressing the positive elements. How the rich and smart break free. But what is the element that grabs our heart or grabs us by the gut? It's often when you realize that there is an opponent. Now, I'm a storyteller. I've been making films since I was 9 years old. There's always an opponent. There's always a villain. There's always something to push against so that you can rise, the hero could rise, and be at his or her great level. I saw a quote that said, if you have a lousy attitude, every obstacle is a threat or an annoyance. If you have a positive attitude, every obstacle is interesting or even fun.
Wow.
And this has my attention because what we're talking about is going to get your success. And if you realize what your opponents are, there are opponents out there and there are opponents inside. These are the source of dark resistance. We're going to focus on the word now. It's in the now where you're going to raise your level of performance, you raise your level of consciousness, and you raise your level of success. It all happens now, in this moment.
Not later?
Then too, but that'll be later, will be now then.
Okay.
All right. Johanna, in your life, have you ever felt that someone pushed you down, like kind of squashed your uniqueness, say, oh, don't do that?
I had an ex-husband. Does that count?
Well, thank goodness that person is ex-husband.
Yes.
But there you go. That person was a source of dark resistance. I have a feeling that what you learned about what didn't work in that relationship now helps you be stronger and helps you cherish your relationship now.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the thing. Now, N-O-W, N stands for nurture your uniqueness. I was talking with a client, and the client was saying, oh, I just saw a video of someone giving a speech, and they were saying this and that. Now, it's a situation where certain type of angel investors won't do certain things.
Oh.
And I said, okay, I'm listening. And somewhere in the conversation, the client said, maybe that's just one person's opinion. And that's the point. You see, because for this particular client, all this client needs is an exception or needs one angel investor in a particular situation. What I'm saying here is that if someone spouts this idea that, oh, things are different and this group of people does not do this, we don't know if that's true. And even if it's true for a trend, it's possible that you nurture your uniqueness and then the person goes, I don't normally do this, but I really am into what you're talking about. I'm in. You see what I mean? So uniqueness is crucial. Credibility based on you being confident and having competence is what's going to get things done. So here's a true story. There were 4 vases, and 2 of them were fake. They were reproductions. J.P. Morgan went to somebody and said, look, which one of these are fake? Now, J.P. Morgan was super rich and was testing this person. And that person immediately smashed 2 of them. Wow. Now, talk about being confident in your ability to know what's genuine.
Yes.
And from that point forward, for many years, J.P. Morgan didn't buy any art without this confident advisor. Nurture your uniqueness. That's N. Next is open to this moment. Open to this moment. When I'm working with a client, I'm in this moment because I want to find out what is the truth in this moment. If something held that person back in the past, we're going to work from this moment forward. Now, Johanna, has there been a time when somehow something came up and you felt you were stuck in some kind of past pattern?
Well, I can say I was very hesitant when I did my first book because when I was young, I was told many times about how I couldn't spell and I couldn't write because I was dyslexic. I just really wanted to write a book, but I just didn't have that confidence because of that.
But at some point there was a switch, there was a click there where, I'm going to write this book. So that's what we're talking about, open to this moment. There was a moment where you said, I don't know how. I'm going to have to get help.
Oh, yeah.
And this is why I see with my clients is that I have this phrase. I said, you will achieve more than you believe, is what I say to my clients. Because when I'm working with them, we're going to get them the help. We're going to do things in this moment that even though they may have tried something in the past and it didn't work out, we're working from this moment forward. And if they tell me, oh, no, I can't do that, I say, well, let's see what we can do to change this current moment so that you can get the help, the support. We can test things. We won't even know what is really working until we put it into the marketplace. You got to get into the arena and you got to try things. Now, the problem is about people around you, your loved ones, friends, co-workers, even a co-founder, is they might hit you with dark resistance. And you're going to have to kick that dark resistance in the butt, out of your way. Okay.
Can I use my spike heels?
That's exciting. Not that way. You're having a lot of fun, I see. Okay. No, what I mean by that is that this is a metaphor. We want to get that terrible thinking, that terrible obsolete thinking, kick it in the butt out of your way. Now, sometimes you have to do it inside because if it's your co-founder or if it's a family member or a spouse, you're not going to start a fight over it. But in your mind, you say, that's dark resistance. I got to kick that in the butt and get it out of my way.
Explain more about that.
People who love you want you to be safe. Now, there's another challenge too, and I'm an executive coach, spoken word strategist. I'm both executive coach and spoken word strategist. And what I say is, I'm not your employee, which means that I'm not trying to keep the job, and I'm not your family member, because a lot of family members say, don't change, stay convenient. My only agenda is my client's agenda. Which means we're going to be in the moment, we're going to do different things, we're going to go in the arena, we're going to test things, we're going to try new things, and we're not going to stay comfortable and not risk. Now, there's important things called an appropriate risk. And in fact, I just want to pause for a moment here for what I call the Marcoux moment. You see, I've got 47 books, and my new book is called How the Rich and Smart Break Free. And I just want to read just a brief little excerpt from that book. It relates to what we're talking about being in this moment. So one of the things that's crucial, and I'm so happy it's in this book, How the Rich and Smart Break Free, is how do you make decisions?
That's available on Amazon, correct?
Absolutely. The detail that we're talking about is you got to be in the moment, O for open to this moment, and at the same time, you've got to be open to intuition and make great decisions while facing risk. So here's a quote here. It says, special consideration, realistically assess if you have enough influence to make things work. I'll share that again. Realistically assess if you have enough influence to make things work. If you're going to do something risky, you're going to have enough influence to change it, to adjust it, to make it better. And if you team up with some other people and if they won't listen to you, maybe you shouldn't team up with them.
How do you tell when you have that influence?
There are many ways, but a lot of times it's body language. It's also about how responsive people are to you. For example, if you were reaching, let's say you were at a certain spot in the industry and you're reaching to people who are higher up in the industry, they might not get back to you for 2 weeks or even a month or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And you just realize that you don't have enough influence with those folks yet. You're not on their radar enough for them to say, oh, I have to respond to that person fast.
Yes.
So that's the detail about that. Now we're going to go to W of now. W is wonder and find your higher level. Now here's the interesting thing. We're focusing on kick dark resistance in the butt. Self-doubt is dark resistance. It's dark resistance inside you. Now, I talk a lot about dark resistance in my new book because you got to overcome dark resistance in order to rise to a higher level. And the idea of W is wonder and find your higher level. You have to aspire to a higher level, which means you do reach out and contact people who are higher up in an industry than you are. And you realize that they may not talk to you or respond to you for 2 weeks or a month or 2 months or something like that, but it's still worth knocking on doors and offering something of value. You wonder, how can I offer this person something of value? That's how you can reach to a higher level. The people who are at a higher level, if they recognize that you are trustworthy, one of my favorite titles for one of my books is Be Heard and Be Trusted. You need both. You need to be heard and you need to be trusted. Both. And my point here about saying, how do we kick dark resistance in the butt? We become more confident and we build that confidence on something real, and that's competence. And so one of the things I always do with my clients, we focus on word, strategy, and rehearsal. The idea is I'm all about behavior change through incremental evidence. How do we get that incremental evidence? Well, we work on our skills. I'm studying every day.
How does this all relate to an introvert?
Excellent question. An introvert will do well because many introverts like to think things through. So many introverts will study. Many introverts will run the models. I would share with every introvert is rehearse too. Don't just think it through. Now, there is some research saying that if somebody visualizes shooting a basketball, if you learned how to shoot it well, you could visualize shooting a basketball and it could help you raise your score. That's when visualization could work in that situation. But when it comes to communicating with people, rehearsal has no substitute. You must rehearse. For example, recently I gave a workshop where I rehearsed 27 times. Now that might have been 20 minutes on one day, could have been an hour on another day, but I rehearsed 27 times. And somebody in my audience became my client.
Oh, wow.
Very high-end kind of work here. The point though is that the introvert can't stay with thinking it through. The introvert needs to rehearse and in front of somebody. And with coaching is the ideal situation. That's why I'm all about words, strategy, rehearsal.
How do you keep your friends through all this? Do you just rely on them all the time, or how do you go around to doing that successfully without losing friends?
The fast answer is some friends are going to drift away. Anybody who aspires to making a beautiful, fantastic impact, some people are going to drift away. And this comes up. Anybody who's going to tell you the truth about achievement, the truth about making a big impact, is going to tell you that some of their friends drifted away because they're just not interested in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Or they drift away because they feel uncomfortable around you. Because this was brought up in a quote I saw at one point where it said that your achievements are like a mirror to them. They look at you and they see a mirror and they don't like what they see of themselves reflected back. Let me explain. You're achieving, they're not.
Yes.
That hurts. They run.
That hurts them.
That's right.
Yes.
Good point. You cannot let dark resistance of people not approving. Some people won't approve of you. I talk about this in my book, How the Rich and Smart Break Free. Some people will withdraw approval unless you stay small.
Oh, wow.
So if you start to blossom and you start to become more prosperous and you start to help more people, and you might even be on certain podcasts or in certain media and stuff like that, some people are going to feel uncomfortable around you. So you won't be able to hold on to every friend. I actually had to write this paragraph so that I could get it in myself, which is this. Some friendships are novels. Some friendships are short stories. And some friendships are a sentence. Put a period on that and get away. If it feels like you're stuck in jail with a certain person, then just reduce your exposure. You don't have to cut them off. So you reduce your exposure to those who bury you in dark resistance. Remember to kick dark resistance in the butt so that you can get success. So Johanna, what are you going to carry with you from our conversation?
I think the biggest thing is that no matter what I do, if I'm going to be successful, some people are going to drift away.
Yeah, it's hard. It hurts.
It does.
I would have even dreams of certain friends. They had drifted away, but they were still showing up once in a while in my dreams. All I can do is offer them a prayer.
How do you not lose friends? How do you keep those relationships and bonds tight?
Well, I'm told by a number of people that what I do, that they say, oh, I'm just not good at this like you are, Tom, is I just, like on Facebook, I just say, how are things going? I just keep on reaching out and just seeing how people are doing. Not because I need them for a specific detail, but just checking in.
Oh, that's nice.
And so I have some friends who are introverts who rather just chat, okay, if you insist. I'd rather talk voice to voice on the phone. But if they insist on just chatting for like 2-3 sentences or whatever, I'm still staying in touch. I'm still showing that I care what's going on in their life. That's how you can keep friendships happening. But ultimately, voice to voice. If you have friends that are in different parts of the world like I do, voice to voice is how you support it because they can hear the warmth in your voice.
Yes.
But if someone is so shut down and they don't want to be on the phone, they don't feel they have the energy, I'll chat for a little bit.
Well, thank you so much for this fascinating subject and information.
Thank you, Johanna. We'd like to share that we have an online class called the Introverts Formula to Get Clients. The next class, with some space still available, is in January 2019. So if you want to pre-enroll, you can go to getthebigyes.com and click on the contact and send us a message. Once again, that's getthebigyes.com. We're glad that you heard this broadcast, and we invite you to
Click to subscribe.
and then you'll be supporting me and Johanna and our message.
And so now remember,
Introverts can show their best self with strategy.
I'm Johanna McLeod.
I'm Tom Marcoux.
Thank you.
Be well.
Bye.